But it is a battle, and one that I don't know what it's going to take to wake people up, but it's one that I'm committed to and one that I've experienced firsthand.
Mayor, good afternoon. We in Ohio recently passed a statewide casino initiative which allows for casino gambling in 4 cities, including Cleveland. Just would like you to share a little bit of your experience and to speak to some reports that circulated here that the Pittsburgh casino was not doing as well as anticipated in its early lifespan. Yeah,
that's true. I guess my first response would be, make sure you limit your expectations on what you're going to get out of the casino. I'm not sure what's being promised, but ours was a statewide initiative as well. Pittsburgh has a casino, as you know. You're accurate in your conclusion that Pittsburgh's casino is not doing as well as was originally promised. You should also know that a portion, and I don't want to get involved in too much of the details, but a portion of the revenues from our casino are dedicated to the debt of our new arena. And that's kind of how the deal was structured at the time. And so we have a vested interest because of that. We also have a vested interest because locally the city and the county receive revenue, depending on how successful they are, to our operating budgets. So from that standpoint, the expectation hasn't been met. Other than that, I will tell you that it hasn't had the impact in terms of crime that some had feared that it would. The prostitution or the activity around the casino that some suggested would happen hasn't occurred. Traffic-wise for us, it's been okay. Maybe that's because there aren't enough people coming. But overall, I think the impact on the city has been relatively minimal on our resources or our ability to deliver services. It's a wonderful facility. It's gorgeous, and we think that it'll do better. They had some issues. I think they just assumed if you build it, they will come. And for example, because it's right next to the Steelers Stadium, the first preseason game, they said it's going to cost you $50 to park here if you're going to come to the game, and because they wanted you to come. Well, here's the problem: people today in Pittsburgh still think it costs $50 to go park in the casino, so they're not going. The casinos generally attract older people to them, senior citizens that go play the slot machines. They think it costs $50 to go park. They're not going. The other thing that is a problem is we have a casino that's about a 45-minute drive from Pittsburgh. Has a surface parking lot, doesn't have a garage. Some senior citizens, we're just being real honest here, don't like to park in garages. They're not comfortable, so they'll take a drive and be in a more comfortable setting. Sometimes they have a connotation of the city. Well, I don't want to drive into the city because they think that it's not safe, because that's what they've heard about casinos. So these are all marketing issues that the casino has to deal with. I'm hopeful that they will, but it has certainly been, there have been some growing pains as they've gone, but not necessarily those that we anticipated in terms of crime. It's more so just a problem getting people in the door.
Mayor, I'm curious about the agreement that you said you've reached with the county executive to have one government. Can you just flesh that out a little bit for us? Will that be, in the future, only one of you would be elected, the mayor or the county executive, and how would it affect the other municipalities in the county?
Great question. I guess the answer is to be determined, but I'll tell you what we think. First of all, we need state legislation that'll even allow us to pursue it. So we need the state to say, okay, the voters, you can decide on a referendum. So that's step one. Our thought is, and what makes the most sense, I would love to eliminate all 131 municipalities now and just have one. But I'm also a realist, and I know that'll never politically sell. So our thought is, let's take the 2 biggest governments, the city and the county, and merge them. And let that be the starting point for what hopefully will be a domino effect of other municipalities and slowly but surely consolidating or saying, hey, the county and the city are one now. Maybe we should get there too. So the thought is, yes, there would be one of us. One of our positions would go away. So for he and I to stand up and say that, I think is somewhat monumental. Now, he's running for governor, so people say, well, yeah, the plan is he's going to be the governor, and then you're going to. I mean, that's really not the way we went about it. It's not. I mean, truthfully, it's not. People assume that, and those are the ones that are trying to shoot it down for a variety of different reasons. But yes, we would have one elected leader for the entire county. Right now, we have a city council, as I'm sure you have. I know you have, and we have a county council. I don't know if you have one of those, but so those two exist now. That would have to be merged in some way where there would be one council, one mayor. But those 131 municipalities and the 80-some police forces, at least in the initial stage, would still have their identity. And even despite that, even despite the fact that we're trying to be as least threatening as we possibly can, it's still being met with significant opposition. So, but it has to change at some point. I mean, I'm sure you all financially are facing the same issues we are here financially. Local government across the country is, I mean, our hands are tied. We're shrinking. Our revenues are stagnant or declining. Our tax bases are doing the same. We have to find unique ways to do things differently, or we're not going to survive. And that's what the idea behind the consolidation is. Anybody else?
Actually, I'll ask a question. Well, Mayor, first we just wanted to say thank you again for coming to the City Club. My question is, about half of the people in the room are roughly around your age. And when you became the mayor of Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh didn't have many of the developments that we saw. If you were to be able to create a playbook for young leaders and young professionals, what would you put in it?
Don't be afraid to fail. Have thick skin. One of the things that is difficult for me is, being a young mayor. And although I've been in the office now for 3.5 years, still met with skepticism a lot of times from, older leaders or whoever. And so that's evolved. It's gotten better, but it's still there. You just have to trust what you're doing and believe in what you're interested in and stay focused. But you can't be afraid to fail, and you got to be willing to take a chance. I mean, look, my name's out there. I'm the mayor. They say nasty things about me personally, whatever it is. That's not comfortable. I don't enjoy that, but I also know that that's part of what you have to go through in order to have a greater mission and do what you want to do. So, whether that's politically for young people or whatever it is you're pursuing in your own private businesses or whatnot, that's important. And a good idea is a good idea, whether a 29-year-old gives it to you or a 59-year-old gives it to you. And if you believe in it, you run with it. And that's kind of what I've tried to follow to the best of my ability through this time. I'm done. Thanks, everybody.
Today at the City Club, you have been listening to a New Leaders program featuring Luke Ravenstahl, Mayor of Pittsburgh. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for attending and for your thoughtful questions. This program is now adjourned.